3, 2, 1. Pretty sure we're live. What's going on, Print Fam? It's your boy Cam, and we're about to start another show. But before we do that, we got to do the sound check just to make sure everything's good to go. So you hear my voice. I'm going to hit you with the testing, and then we're going to have my guest hit you with the testing. So, testing. 1, 2, 3, and hit me, my friend.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, let us know real quick one more time.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, let us know in the chat if our audio is good, and then we'll officially get this thing started. Hit us quick, guys. Come on. Don't make us wait. Ooh, and Alex coming through already with the shitty booze review $2 super chat. We'll take it. Coming in hot, baby. All right, guys, let us know in the chat. Hurry up. How's the audio? One more time, my friend, with testing.
Testing. Can you guys hear me?
How's it sound, guys? Well, the chat just seems to be taking its sweet-ass time today, so we're just gonna... let's see. Yeah, we're just gonna get started on it. They'll chime in if it doesn't go well. All right, so thank you guys for hanging here. To all the early birds, you're the shit. We know who the true men. Oh, there we go. Now it popped up, so it was just taking a while to refresh. To everybody that's here early, thank you for tuning in. Y'all, we already know who the true Print Fam members are. They're the ones that are here early. You're the early bird is part of the fam. Everyone else can go to hell. Thank you, Odin Life, Print It to Win It, Elite Pro Graphics, Printed Hawaii, JA, Shondo Inez, Heather Plumman, Easy Gaming, Relio Dragon, Printed Hawaii, JA, and all of you guys, thank you for being here. And someone's calling me. Is that you, bro? Oh, no. Reconnect, baby. Come on. Hang on, guys. We're having a little bit of a Skype issue here. There you are. We lost you there for a second, dude. Uh-oh. Hang on, guys. We may be losing our guest here.
All right, there we go. Gotcha.
Okay, there you are.
Oh, there we go.
Was that on your side?
Sorry about that. I don't know. I was still connected. I didn't have any movement.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, everybody in the thing is used to it, man. These live shows are always a little bit glitchy, but here we go. Let's roll that intro and we'll get started in 3, 2, 1, and action. Hey, man, what's up? Intro, motherfuckers. And come on. Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Cam. Welcome to another episode of the Print Life Live video podcast, where we talk screen print news, screen print business, and all the other good stuff that you guys have come to learn and love. Today's episode is a special one. I've had a lot of requests from people to... I mean, there's all these different levels of this industry and really any business, but a lot of people are kind of, what the hell is going on here? Hang on. Super bugged. Hey, guys, we're having a bit of a network connection with my guest. It keeps popping in and out, so you may hear a little bit of beeping and humming while he tries to come in, but I'm not sure what's going on here. Gosh darn it. Anyway, yeah, so today's guest is a special one because I feel like he hasn't been jaded to this industry yet. He's been doing it for a long time, but maybe he's a little bit younger than most of us. I'm not really sure why, but it just feels like it's less jaded. So he may have a little bit more insight and information into people that are considering getting started in all this thing, as opposed to some old fossil like a lot of us who are just like, fucking tired and exhausted from everyday life. So, he's been cranking away at this game since he's 14 years old. And now he's only 23, but he's already focused on growing his print shop to new heights. He's already got a great big print shop, but he's kind of focused on growing it to new heights through streamlining systems and the use of technology. And he's going to use that stuff to get him where he wants to go. So I'm excited to talk with him and how he did it. Let's welcome Hunter Strine to the show. Let's give him a round of applause in the chat. And also, I got to make sure he's still on the line here because I don't think he is. Let's see. Hang on. I'm going to call him back, actually. So we were supposed to say what's up to him, but we're going to give him another call. Let's see. I'm going to give him a call. Maybe we might have to just do an audio call. There he is. You got me?
Yeah.
All right. What's up? What's up, duder? You know what? If it cuts in and out, we'll just deal with it. If it starts to go dead, you can just hang up and I'll call you back.
Sounds good.
We'll
I just ran a speed test. I think I'm all right. I don't know if it's me or not, but
I think it'll be
everything's all right.
Well, so I already did the intro and I said, welcome Hunter Strine. So thank you for coming on the show, my friend.
Well, thank you.
What's the name of your shop?
So it's Maryland Print House is the name of the shop.
Maryland Print House. Okay, and so it's in Maryland.
Yep, there you go.
Yep. How long has your shop been open? That particular one. This
location and this shop in particular has been open since March of last year.
Oh wow, you just started on this one.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. Well, so you told me a little bit about it. I mean, you got into the print game at 14. How'd you get into it?
Sure, yeah. So I started a clothing line when I was in high school, when I was a freshman. And, I really wanted to – I didn't have that much money, obviously, and I wasn't funded by anybody. So I wanted to try and get shirts. So I went to a local screen printing shop to get them. And the cost per piece was super high, and, I couldn't afford it, really.
Yeah.
So I decided to, YouTube and figure out how to make shirts. And so – yeah, that's how I got started. Printing was trying to cut costs.
Really? Did you have kind of like a crappy experience with the printers?
Yeah, really bad. Yeah, it was when was this? So 2013, 2012, 14, something like, I don't remember the exact day or year, but when I did start it, there was I was invoiced through QuickBooks. I didn't know which was for which, and then when I got the goods, I wasn't really.
Oh, there he went. Damn it. Hey guys, I'm so sorry. It does seem like it does kind of seem like we're having some issues with the connection here. Hopefully we're not losing you. Let's call him back in. We may, if this keeps cutting out, we may just go with an audio call. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. This is strange. I don't know why it's happening. We have really good internet at the shop. It's strange.
I don't think it's mine, only because there's the stream keeps going. So we'll see.
Weird.
Yep. See, there it goes again. I see you cutting out on us.
I can. Let me see. Yeah. Let me hop in another network real quick to see if that works.
Okay. I'll call you right back. In the meantime, I'll just I'll kill some time. So yeah, guys, we're having a couple technical difficulties. Skype is glitchy as shit. You guys know that. If anyone's ever used Skype ever, you know it's glitchy as shit. So he's calling back right now. We're gonna get this. It's gonna be fine.
All right.
It's nice. It's nice to have the show falling apart with somebody else with me, because it's always my fault. So it's nice to just have a partner in crime. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, I think we got you, dude. So
can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. So you were saying
this one should work a little bit better, hopefully.
Would you have multiple connections there, or how'd you get?
Yeah, so we have the 5 gigahertz or whatever. I don't know anything about 2.4 and 5.
Okay.
So I just tried to switch to 5. I can't see you though, so I don't know if you stopped.
No, let me share my screen with you. There we go. You got me?
No, I don't have you.
Oh, well.
What?
Oh well. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't need to look.
But yeah.
What the hell? Yeah, it says it's showing to you. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so yeah, but so I guess I kind of elaborated on it, but when you went to those shops, were they dismissive of you, and that's kind of.
Yeah, so I don't know where I lost you, but I just the process was really long, and it was really strenuous on me, because I went into that, I knew nothing about screen printing art, what the necessities were to get a good print. Okay. I didn't know what garments were good, what were bad. I had no idea. I was just getting into this, and I had contacts at surf shops that were local to not local to me directly, but down at the shore. So I wanted to wholesale the product, and I was building out line sheets and stuff. So when I went to the shop, yeah. I was trying to figure out work with them on the best products. I ended up walking out with Gildan crew necks and like long sleeves. So like it was kind of like I'm not gonna get placed in a shop with this. So
Right.
I kind of like learned that like I spent I think everything I had, which was like $600 on like a couple hoodies and a couple or long sleeves and crew necks. And yeah, it was a really bad experience all around. And like, I wasn't happy with the print, which looking back, it was my fault,
Interesting.
because I wasn't educated on like how to, do good artwork, but also I don't think that they did the best job at like knowing what I know now.
Right.
It could have looked a lot better too, for sure. I mean, it was complicated art, really tight lines and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Well,
and then that was really the catalyst for you just saying, hey man, I got to do this for myself.
Yeah, really cost standpoint. I mean, I was, again, like a freshman in high school. So it's really, I didn't have a job. So like I've only had one job in my life outside of my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really just hustling because before that I hacked Call of Duty and I did like all kinds of other stuff at like 13, made websites and stuff for like YouTube channels and stuff. So like before all of that stuff, I was making my own money. I didn't get into printing until I was 14. So I always found a way to like hustle.
Well, you're 23. You're 23 now. It does kind of seem almost like this generation is much more. Your generation is much more minded around like monetizing pretty much everything that you do, huh?
Yeah. Actually, when you think about it, yeah.
It's interesting because in my generation, it really was about like, and I'm not saying I'm old. I'm still very, very young. But it was almost like we were all job oriented, not really the idea of doing your own thing was more of a pipe dream than a reality. But for you, in what you're growing up in, it's a reality to you, right? You can do it.
Yeah, I mean, with the internet, I think that unlocks everything.
Right.
But I mean, my question. Wait, how old are you?
I'm 37. 37 years young.
It's not that far off.
I'm a baby, dog. Yeah. I'm a baby.
But no, I mean, it is. I mean, growing up, so I grew up. I didn't get an iPhone until I was actually a freshman in high school. But I went through probably, I think 5 different Acer computers that were like $100, $200 at Walmart. Just because I taught myself Photoshop in like 2012. So before all my films, I didn't have traps. I didn't have like anything on my art. So like it was bad, man. It was bad.
Yeah, so you were learning as you went, man. And I think it was actually very similar for me because I was trying to start a clothing brand under the Monument moniker, and I went to a couple shops, but I felt just dismissed by them, and it made me feel like, well, I need to at least learn this for myself. It does seem to be the story for a lot of people that are trying to start their own thing. That's where it starts out. Now, once you decided that you were going to do it, right? Once you decide, all right, man, I got to start printing for myself. What was the first step that you took?
So it's funny. So like, I mean, there wasn't that much content on YouTube at the time. I mean, this isn't that long ago, but I mean, I think like in 2000 and whatever year that was, I'm trying to do the math in my head real quick, but no, whatever, when I was a freshman. So what was that? Actually, I graduated in 2010, 2011.
A while ago.
Yeah, actually. So when I was first starting, the content was really rough around the edges, like as far as like getting started.
Right.
So what we ended up doing was we called or went online, and I was just looking up like screen printing starting kits and like stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know when those presses started to become a thing or whatever, but I do know that like I guess the first thing we came across was a blueprint for a press starter kit type thing. So it was cheap. We were trying to spend, I think we spent $100 or $150 at the time on like, it came with like 4 inks or maybe 2 or something. It came with squeegee. It came with the blueprint for what we had to build. And then it came with like a pint of emulsion, like a really standardized starter kit. So me and my dad set off. I asked him to help me because I'm not technical with that kind of stuff. And we built this press. It was a 3-color actually out of wood. So basically what it was, and I can send you the picture of it. But there's like each side. So there was like 3 points. So like here, here, and here. And each of those points would come down to register onto a pallet. So the screens were actually sideways on the side and frontways on the front, on the top portion. So it was a
Yeah.
3-color. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
So I never really successfully got a print off. I have some actually still here in a box of stuff that I printed off of that press. But yeah, it was in rough
Your
shape.
first outing was really a failure for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, burning screens in the sun, from like all of that kind of using a heat gun to cure. I mean, that was our process. That was how we did it. And so, I mean, it worked. I printed shirts. I don't know if they would wash well, but I mean, we printed shirts. So I guess that was the main goal, and we did it.
And it really, even though it may not have been the right way to do things, but it got you into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, it came actually with 10 CDs. So each CD had like each step of the product. It was miserable. And so like each of these CDs, it came with CDs or a USB with all the videos on it. I can't remember, but so it had like these folders of all of these videos. And I wish I knew the guy who did it, but it was old school, and it was like he actually built the press that I was using, so it was like the wooden press.
I think I remember seeing something like that on YouTube back in the day. Like I even saw in the early days, like there was this one where he built, it was a carousel press out of goddamn 2x4s, but it had like rotating pallets and shit, dude.
Jesus,
I don't know if it's still out there, but but once you got your hands wet, right? You got them dirty. But then what?
Yeah.
Like, is it just because you're not outputting the product that you want?
So, I mean, I actually tried to do it for a long time, trying to build this brand. I learned a lot doing that process. But, I mean, one of the things that I wish I did do different was stop chasing a passion that isn't going to work at the level of expertise that I had. Because I'm trying to compete against people like Billabong to get shelf space, and that's just not going to happen with somebody that's trying to print shirts in their garage or parents' garage.
Wait. This is interesting. Wait. So, you know what? This is actually really interesting because I get a lot of people that reach out to me about starting up a brand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in your mind, just simply because of the fact that these people are not willing to put out the capital necessary to actually get on those shelves, they're already in a losing position. Is that kind of what you're saying?
No, I think more or less it was just like I did not have the skill set that another brand, any other brand had. I wasn't educated enough on what I needed to do, but I was trying to get there, and it took way too long to get there. And I now know with the companies we have now, to actually when to let loose and to stop operating in that business because it's not working or you're not making money. But granted, I was in high school, so it didn't really matter how much money I made. I was living at home. Yeah. It was just kind of for fun to learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, like, people try the brand industry, like building a brand is far more complicated than a lot of people think. And it's such a saturated market. So when you go in and you try to do this, you really have to do something different. Mm-hmm. I mean, I consult with brands still to this day because we build them for, celebrities on YouTube and people like that. So I consult with kids that are local that are trying to start stuff. And the first question I ask them is like, what does it mean and why are you doing it? And most times they got to look it up. And if that's the case, then it's going to be.
Oh no, we're losing you. Oh shit. There we go. Start over real quick. You said in most cases.
In most cases, they don't. You got me.
Yeah, we got you.
In most cases, like they have to look it up on their phone or like on their website, like when they wrote it. But like, so if that's the case, like you're never gonna get to where you want to be. You really have to know what you want and be like really pushing towards it to bring it to fruition. I mean, and that's the thing. There's never enough research done. Yeah. A lot of these guys are trying to build e-commerce stores on like, Wix and stuff when they should be using Shopify. That was my biggest mistake, was like not investing in the proper technology or materials, to actually do something that I wanted to do. Right. And it's $35 a month. Back then, $35 a month was insane to me.
Right.
And I wasn't going to invest in it. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. You can do things grassroots. We have.
Sure.
But like, it makes things 10 times harder, especially if your dreams are to compete with someone like Billabong or Hurley. It's just, right. It's just not a realistic expectation. And I set my expectations too high and actually did that for like 6 years. Yeah, 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. And like, didn't stop. And I thought I would get there. And I finally pulled the plug because like, it wasn't it wasn't feasible at the time. You know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I actually had a bunch of different things I wanted to reiterate on that, but I forgot them. Gosh darn it.
You cut me off.
Yeah, dude, I totally, completely agree. But you know, when you say something like that, though, it's interesting because when in your opinion, you know, it doesn't really matter where you're at in the process of this business, but
Sure.
you have a much better feeling or an idea that printing is more your thing than being a brand owner as far as a clothing line. But how do you know, like, because, you know, every new business they're very rarely profitable. Even if you are pulling profit or revenue, it's hard to carve out profit. So if it's a losing game, how do you go, okay, this is still where I should be and I'm going to stick this out? You know what I mean? You understand the question?
Yeah. I mean, that's a fine line. I mean, in my opinion, like, I get what you're saying 100%. I don't, you know, my story afterwards is crazy. So like, I don't know what that is, because like, I felt like that was my mistake. You know, like it wasn't that like I tried to stick it out. I tried to for a long time.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was my biggest mistake though. You know, so like you have to, like, cause when you know, it's wild. Like that's how I felt when I started my next company.
So like with printing, like, so if you're like, let's say you're contrasting printing to that clothing brand, it just felt for you like the clothing brand constantly seemed to nothing happened, but when you started the print thing, it felt like things started rolling.
And I think that a lot of people misconceive like the ability to grow fast, like, or feel growth. You know, like there was a major difference for me between when I was in the clothing line business in high school versus printing for other people. I mean, like the growth was crazy. I mean, making 15 grand or 20 grand in a 5-6 year span is not going to cut it forever. And I think I kind of started to get older and realize like, oh shit, I have to do something or else I can't live like, I can't live like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's impossible.
I love
That's
that.
sales.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I feel like I just want to kind of dive into that notion a little bit. Not so much because I don't want to discourage people that want to start brands by any means, but I want to I guess kind of dive into knowing what you've learned now as a printer and looking back on when you were trying to start a brand. Like, let's just dive into the brand thing for a minute. Fuck it, we don't only have to talk about screen printing. What would you do differently now if you were to go back to the clothing brand thing and you were to say, God, I always wanted to do that, man. Let's go ahead and get that started now. Is there anything that you see that you did wrong that you should have done differently?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I mean, like, I could probably build a kick-ass brand now. Like, thinking back to what I did wrong, you know, like if I really had the time to do it and like I did back then, knowing what I know now, sure. But I think like a lot of it is like, it's hard to explain, and you may know how this is, but like you kind of like feel like you just, and I was young, you know? So like when you get older, you feel like you have more wisdom or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you learned a lot throughout that process. Like the things that I did wrong with the brand thing was like, I wasn't creating a good product. Like, I mean, ultimately it's like the product was bad. I was using, you know, G5000s trying to whosale them at a retailer, you know? So like a bad product, you know, no capital to really build a good product at the time.
Were you even thinking about marketing from a realistic point of view at that time?
Oh, we had 13,000 followers on Instagram. We still do to this day. It's still a page is still there. I used a bot to like follow and unfollow people.
Interesting.
And
so even with that, you had a hard time getting it to lock in.
It was crazy. So like we tried to build out like sponsorship packages for kids to like, and I mean, it's kind of like a lot of companies were doing this at the time, and it was, looking back, it was probably kind of a bad idea. But you know, you would sell a sponsorship package. They'd spend like $50 or $100 and they'd get a shirt and like all of this product. And then if they won something, they would get like a ton of extra product. It was kind of like a bait thing to grow sales. And it was, I would never do that now.
No.
But, you know, it was like a learning experience, and honestly, still doing that, it was really hard. And they were all real followers. See, the difference is like, I can quickly look and see if someone has fake followers or real followers. It's very obvious that interaction with the fans and the followers is typically low.
Yeah, a large volume of my early when I first got on Instagram, maybe 4 years ago, I used like one of those bot follow things, and I think it took me up to about 6,000 followers. But you can even tell my followers based on my interaction. It's not super real. It's not.
I think like it wasn't like you can actually just go online and buy them, right?
Oh, you
like
can buy
can go
them?
online and just buy 5,000 followers for like $10. You can go do that. Like you can do that today.
Yeah.
But that's like when I used a bot, I had good interaction because I set the bot up in a way that like I was getting the followers that I wanted. I can do that now. We don't do it as often as I would like to.
Do they still work? I thought, because I had one that was called like, I don't remember what it was, but it would literally go through and like things, but then it got suspended and I never looked back into it.
Really?
Yeah.
I never had an issue.
But they work still, huh?
Yeah,
Cool.
we used to. I mean, I could plug the name, but
no. Hit me off camera because I want to keep that low key.
Yeah, for sure.
Want it for myself.
Yeah, they work. It's a Mac program, but it works great. But the problem is like if it's not set up properly, you're not going to get that fan interaction. It has to. There's actually a strategy to it, to get the people that you want to follow you.
Yeah.
It's people hate on it, but it is what it is. It's real growth. It's not fake.
Mm-hmm.
It's real.
Right.
So it's just a way to streamline it. Like following and unfollowing people has been a method to grow accounts for years. It's been since the social media started. So I mean,
do you think the accounts where like girls have their tits and asses out and shit like that? Do they still often utilize this? Do they have to utilize the same tactics as they don't have to? It's not the same thing.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that their growth is so quick and so immense that it's such a bait. Like it's so easy for them to grow because people want to see it.
Right.
Like people don't want to look at like plugged surfers on. I mean, people do, but that's why I have to use a bot to find those people because I started with 0 followers.
Right.
So building that brand was complicated.
Yeah.
We came out with good products towards the end, but I just felt like it was expending too much energy on not enough return. And I feel like as I got older, I realized that.
Awesome.
And we had custom neck tags. We got really good at what we were making.
Yeah.
But it just got to the point where there were better opportunities. I'd rather build a brand for a celebrity and run their brand than build my own at the point that I was at.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, I feel like that was pretty good, right? At least we kind of dove into the idea of this brand thing, and because it is important, and it is still something that a lot of people are immensely passionate about. So I think it's important to let them know that, hey, dude, you can do it. Right, but it's just not going to be. It isn't. You're not going to start this brand with very little capital and have it blow up overnight, unless you're one in a million. It happens, but you're one in a million.
Well, and I mean to touch back on that. I mean, ultimately, when I have kids that have brands that come into the building and sit down and are ready to order shirts, the one thing that I do is I bring them in, sit down, and say, listen, they're usually younger people that, are looking to, 18, 17, 19, just trying to start. Cause it's I don't know if it's a fad or people really there's that many of them going on, but there's a lot of brands being
yeah, we're losing you.
Every single day.
Oh, there we go. People used to want to be rappers. Yeah, we're here. People used to want to be rappers. Now they want to own clothing brands. What happened?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, and so what we do is I sit down and I consult with them. I just say, listen, before I take your money, I want you to realize, if you're open to having this conversation, I've been in your shoes. I know what this takes to get this anywhere at all. Just understand these core things before you spend, $1,000 or $1,200 on merchandise. Let's sit down and talk about how can I help you, because I hate that. I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody that isn't as educated. And it's just not fair, and I feel like I have to do that due diligence and sit down with them and say, listen, do you have these things in line? What kind of e-commerce platform are you using? How are you marketing? How can I help you before you spend $1,000 with me? And all my time will be devoted to that 24/7. And because building brands is something that I've gotten really good at and do for a lot of, big name people on YouTube, and it's just worked out really well for me. So I want to make sure that kids that do it know. And when we open we're looking at a building right now, and when we get this, I'm actually building out a section of that for brands, because
Smart.
as a high volume shop, most guys know that, like, and we're not that high volume, but we run shirts all day.
Yeah.
Like, putting a major focus into quality is almost near, I mean, we do that every day, but to the level that these brands need, like the shirt needs to be 4 inches by like whatever,
right,
from each sleeve, or, you know, whatever the specs are. They're usually very intense.
Yeah.
It's really hard to meet those needs 24/7. You know, when you're typically printing G5000s or hammers all day, and it's just a full front, you know, it's a lot different. So I'm actually going to build out a creative space for brands with a manual, and like have these kids like have the ability to learn how to print, and be there for the process, and put a major focus into quality for them, because that's what that's how I started. I'm going to, you know, bring it back full circle.
That's smart, man. That's cool. That's a really cool concept to build out.
Yeah, I just don't want to see people waste money, you know, especially when it's like so complicated. I hate it. I feel so bad. Like,
me too. A lot of times when they come in with those pipe dreams, I'll usually, it's not a pipe. I don't like to tear it down as a pipe dream, but you want to kind of like grab them and say, just do your, you know, you got to make sure you do your research, and you need to understand what you're getting into. Yeah. So I think that's really cool that you're doing that, man. Now let's get off the brand thing and kind of dive into the print game, because a lot of people that watch this channel, they want insight into how they should start. So we know how you got started in the print game. Pretty straightforward. You just kind of bootstrapped it. But when did you decide that it was time to start? When and why did you start buying the equipment up and start buying the right things? You know what I mean?
So I didn't do that actually until a year and a half ago.
Cool.
I mean, I did it in my first shop. So kind of to give you context, like after the brand, I was in college, and I was an athlete and a student, so it was really hard to like do both. But I got to the point where in college I wanted to like utilize my resources better. So I actually did end up buying like a 4-station, 1-head, like, you know, tabletop press.
Yep.
And I was able to like get some local business to come in and do that. But I was driving home, so it got to the point I opened a company, like a screen printing company, and so that was like my secondary business.
Well, how did you? Sorry to interrupt, but how did you go about getting that first batch of clients? You know, I think for most people when they're first starting, that's always the question: is where do you get that first batch of clients? How do you cut your teeth on screen printing?
Yeah, I mean, I think friends and family is like a quick way to like get a couple of like jobs in the door. Okay. I mean, you got to think like, you know, your parents or your friends, like there's someone that owns a business within that group of people. Like there's almost guaranteed, like, and I mean, if not, they work at a company, so like, you know, they might have an in.
Now you were entrepreneurial very young, but did you do any work for free, spec work for free in the beginning to learn it, or were you just always charging?
No. I mean,
you're a young entrepreneur, baby.
I mean, sure, to an extent. Like I printed my own stuff, you know, so like that's how I was learning. No, we didn't print any jobs for free, and we should have, because the quality was very piss poor. So I mean,
but you kind of learned on your brand. So you were cutting your teeth on brand stuff.
Yeah, right, exactly. Gotcha. So I was learning how to print on my own.
Well, that makes sense. So. Now, after you've done your friends and family, I think that's probably the best place to start for sure. But after you've done that, and you're like, okay, I can do this for a living. Where do you go from there? Where do you get your clients? Like,
so, like, it zeroed out. It zeroed out for me, and that was why I started Creators Label, which was the next company I started, because it zeroed out. I think we had grown it to like, we had a manual, and I bought like my grandfather actually is like in contracting. And so like he invests in like property sometimes. And like the place where I went to college, there was actually a town local to it. And the buildings were like, it was like 40 grand for like a 4-bedroom, like building, like a really low income area. But, it was like perfect for what I needed, because like I was going to school 10 minutes away, and like it worked. So we thought we could flip it and like turn it around, but So we ended up getting it. My grandfather bought it. We tried to fix it up and stuff and then resell it.
Okay.
But so I moved my equipment up there, and then I ended up buying a 6.4 press, like a manual.
Now, were you already doing client work at this point?
Yeah.
Well, how
So
did you get your first batch of clients?
Like I said, friends and family.
So at that point, you're basically printing for them. That's how you're getting work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I knew that the brand wasn't making me enough money, so then I started printing for other people.
Okay. Okay.
So I did that for the summer after my freshman year of college, and I actually got a conveyor dryer off Craigslist for $800 that came with a washout booth.
Nice.
And I actually did end up buying new 6.4 Riley Hopkins and a exposure unit, like a tabletop, like a couple $100, whatever. And that was money I had from the brand.
Okay.
So I reinvested my whole life.
Right.
And so when we did that, that was kind of when we opened our doors to, bigger orders and Instagram. So I used Instagram for my next company, which was called My Crazy Tees.
Okay.
And we started to push Instagram, and it worked really well. I think we did like 60 grand off Instagram alone.
Now, but were you selling pre-printed tees, or you were selling a screen printing service?
Service, yeah.
Wow. And you used Instagram to get these clients?
Used a bot again.
Wow, dude, I have not cracked. And maybe it's because I barely answer my DMs, and I know that that's a huge mistake, but I have not cracked the Instagram game, dude.
It's more complicated now than it was, for sure.
All right.
Because like the way that the algorithm has changed so much, it drastically affected a lot of like what we were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a possibility to find customers like on there.
Okay. But like,
sure.
if you're talking to a new kid and he's looking to become your competition, he wants to be a screen printer, he wants to take some of your clients. What do you tell him? How does he start getting the attention of your clients to get them from you? Oof, that's a hard one to answer, huh?
Print good shirts.
There you go. Okay.
Print a better shirt than we can print. I mean, ultimately, like if you ask me today, like it's like we don't do any outreach anymore as much. Like we don't do any outreach, to be honest, as much as we should. Like it's all organic. And I think a big part of it, honestly, from all perspectives, is the brand.
Okay.
Is the brand that you have behind you, and like how effective is the brand?
Yeah. Interesting. Well, see, I know for me, when I first was like, how the hell am I going to get my first batch of clients? I put the website up, but it takes a while for your site to like organically, for Google to, recognize it.
Oh, like DNS mitigation.
Right, like, yeah, all that stuff. And even then, like when your site is up, it doesn't necessarily mean it has any kind of page rank. So it's not really necessarily showing up in Google. But so what I did was I used Craigslist. Did you resort to any of that kind of stuff in the early days when you're trying to, or was it always like it started with your friends and family and it just word of mouth grew from there?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of like go into the rest because like that's how it goes.
Okay.
So I kind of plateaued, like I said, on Instagram, but I had a customer that was actually so young that he wouldn't like call me. He would just talk to me on Instagram. So I printed 12 pieces for him for his brand. Early on when I was in my parents' garage. It was a one color black ink, so I could do it.
Okay.
And so I did that for him, and then he hits me up like 2 years later.
Hang on there. Hang tight. There
When?
There we go.
All right. Yeah. Yep. I got you.
One more time. Yep. Start over from that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No. So he hit me up 2 years later. And he needed 1,500 pieces. And at that time I was actually in my shop up by school. Cause before I was driving 2.5 hours to my parents' house to print shirts and back every weekend. So that's why we got the building, just to give you context.
Gotcha.
He hit me up for 1,500 pieces with glow in the dark ink. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, cause the design was super whack. And, so I looked into it, and he was doing like gaming crates. So like it was a crate where like you put all of these like trinkets in and like all kinds of like different stuff.
Okay.
And I think he tried to use a local printer, and I think that like they either turned him down on it because the glow in the dark ink, or something happened. I think I'm assuming because he needed them turned really fast.
Yeah.
And like we were shipping them from Maryland, so to Texas, I think it was. I don't remember. But yeah, so we printed all these shirts, glow in the dark, which I don't even know what brand ink it was, but it was miserable to print. And so we got them done. And I'd always like been interested, like, cause I worked within YouTube before, like I started my brand. Like I was part of like CMSs, like different networks and stuff that were like monetizing creators. I was actually, I ran TGN's forums when they were around and did all kinds of stuff in YouTube. But so I always knew about the market, like I knew it was there. But YouTube merch in like 2016 was not a big thing. Like it was just kind of getting to where it is today, which is absolutely nuts.
Right.
And so when I saw this, I was like, there's a better way to do this. The distribution's poor. Like, he was printing out labels. I was looking at, cause I would dive into like his Twitter ads and like see people taking pictures of the merch and like printing labels on paper. Like I knew he was having a hard time with distribution. So I hit him up or whatever, but I never heard back. And the site was gone like a week later, or 2 weeks later. Cause I think it was more than he thought. And this YouTuber only had like 200K or 300K subs. So it was like really nuts to have that kind of return.
Yeah.
So I kind of took that and, was like, okay, I know how to build a company. I know how to build brands. Like, let's jump into this thing full force and build a company. So a buddy I met on Call of Duty, like way earlier, I would always been tight with him on Skype because Skype used to be awesome. I don't know that they changed their stuff. But,
now it's glitchy as shit now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, so Skype used to be my main source of communication with my friends, and like I always kept in touch. So I brought him on because he was in the YouTube game with me for a little bit on like the administrative side.
Okay.
And we started Creators Label, which is like the merchandising thing. So we mail merged and emailed 5,000 YouTubers that had over 500,000 subscribers or more.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how that started, and we hit it off in like the first month or two.
Interesting. So are you guys more of a merch printer then? Like if you were to classify yourself as a type or the niche that you're working within?
I think our sales are pretty diversified at this point. Like it's not just one or the other.
Okay.
And that was kind of part of the long-term plan. Just because like you can't, I don't like operating that way, and I don't think you should. It's like, so I would say probably over a quarter of our sales is of merchandise for creators. So we have three separate companies, three separate corporations that operate here. So they're all separate companies. But yeah, so Creators Label, we started, we hit it off. We got a response from a client. We mail merged it off, and like he hit us back. He had like 600K at the time. And the beauty of that business is that they grow with you, right? So like now he has 2.2 million subscribers. So at the time in 16, he had 600K. Like he grows with us. Or we grow with him rather. Right. So it's kind of a cool business, but yeah, it's very, very like the way that we structured our company was we're entirely behind the scenes. Now you can go on our site and see like some of our clients, but there's a lot of clients that we sign NDAs with and stuff where we're not public anywhere. Right. And that's just because like I had a strong belief. I hate the way that YouTube merch is, the perception of it. I think that's a really bad thing. And I don't think it won't be stable if we continue it to be this meme of where like merch is like, oh, it's a screen printed t-shirt and it's like being sold with 10 other creators on a website.
Right.
Like that's not how you build a brand. Right. So like, the goal for us was to take massive creators and actually build legit brands behind it, whether that means outsource to China for cut and sew, whether that means building a complex workflow for the website, like whatever that entails, that's what we're going to do.
Interesting.
So that's kind of like our ideology behind it, and that's worked for us up to this day.
Cool. Damn, dude. Yeah, I mean that is good, but it kind of like it does raise the question on how you get them. Everybody, I think in this community that we have here, the question is always, how do you get them? Like,
build a scraper.
Go ahead. A scraper.
Yeah, so we built a YouTube scraper for $800. And like we have a scraper that scrapes YouTube, and we use death by capture to beat the capture. I mean, it's pretty like you just have to like. I don't know. It's like you have to think outside the box,
Uh,
as to how you're going to gain these customers, whether it's sending them donuts every week or whatever. Like, I believe in like, just doing whatever it takes. And I'm not going to I'm not going to spam you,
yeah,
but
right.
like, I want to reach as many people at once. So I have a higher percentage of return, like at least 1% of return. So we
Right.
emailed 4,000 people in 2 days using mail merge. Like we scrape the data and then we send it out.
See, so that's technology that, and I am what you might consider like a small YouTuber, but and even I don't know what scraping is. I've never even, I've
Sure.
actually literally never heard that term. I've heard bots,
Uh-huh.
but what is scraping?
So basically you utilize YouTube's API, which is like, how you communicate one platform with another kind of.
Okay.
And so a scraper basically goes through all of like YouTube based on like, so there's different like categories on YouTube. I think it's like people, it's like gaming, it's like, there's a, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
these different like categories, there's like 7 or maybe 10 of them. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But so like all of your channels, like every person is categorized and every person is in a database.
Right.
So if you have a scraper, it basically scrapes YouTube based on parameters that are set.
Okay.
And then it goes and like, it's exactly what it is. It's a scraper. It scrapes data. It takes
Okay.
data. So we collect data on like what category you're in, what name it is, like what, I don't know the legalities on this. So,
Well, okay, let's not dive into that then. But ultimately, what you were doing is you were acquiring a mailing list or a sales list is what you're doing.
Essentially.
So, but
yeah,
that's because YouTube was your niche that you were going after. So, if you were a shop and you decided I just want to get every local contractor in the area that does every construction worker, I want to print their shirts. You might put a scraper together that would look for data of all of the local contractors in your area.
Yeah, I mean, there's a website called SalesRipe that already does it. It's $50 a month.
There you go.
And I mean, like you can there's so many options. Like there's so many platforms. There's another one, I forget the name of it, but like we tried that ideology.
I feel like you literally just gave away the keys to the kingdom with that. Because I'll tell you right now, dude, and I've been bouncing around SEO tactics and Facebook ads and all this shit. And dude, that's valuable information for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really care because ultimately, like, it has a 30% hit. Like, I mean, 30% of the data is like old and not good.
Okay.
But if you're starting out and you're desperate for sales, then use something like SalesRipe.
Okay.
It's going to help you. And I'm not saying SalesRipe is the best platform for it, but there's so many lead gen like companies that scrape Google for data all the time.
Okay. Beautiful, man. Is that how? So that's how, like, sometimes if I get a new domain or I buy a new domain for this and that, like, they're probably scraping that information, and then they're reaching out to me on the telemarketing firms and shit like that.
When you're talking about when you buy a domain, or
well,
when
yeah, like, dude, like what I've noticed is like every time I buy a new domain or somewhere I registered, like even when I registered like the Print Life as a trademark, like all of a sudden I get hit. So what's happening is there's a scraper scraping the trademark registrar, getting that information.
Probably, I would have to assume. And I mean, most of it is like we pay extra for domain protection because like, I hate that shit. like I do it, but I hate it. Like we don't actually, that's not our main sales tactic anymore. I mean, that was really like, how do we get started?
Okay.
And then the second thing is like, I brought on really valuable partners, and that's another thing that we can talk about.
Sure.
But like, I don't believe in the whole, like, I need to retain all of this equity. Like, and everybody, like, every advisor to me or person that has, like, is looking out for my best interest is so against that. But
hang on.
For me,
oh, shit. Dude, fuck
yeah.
it. Fuck, there you go. Yep, yeah, we got you.
No, for me, it's like, dude, let's all build something cool. And like, let's like, fuck the money, like, excuse my language, but like, fuck the money, Yeah. Like that's not, I mean, it's about money, sure. But like, let's build an awesome product that can help the community or whatever we're trying to service, and like all utilize our strengths. And like, that's something that I found myself getting better at is like, cause before it was just me and like my partner actually ended up leaving. But like, it was just me. And I had a lot of hardships with like partners, you know, and like I felt like I was doing all of this work and hustling so hard and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
But like ultimately at the end of the day, you have to realize that like everybody's drive is different, and like but everybody has value that's going to be different than what you have. You just have to know how to do everything and then kind of like figure out who's good at what.
Would you recommend people partnering up in the in the early stages?
Depends what kind of person you are, you know.
If
like
you're
I mean ultimately.
Yeah.
Or like how much the reason I had to start doing it is because I had no money.
Yeah.
So I needed help, and I kind of knew what my end goal was, you know, and like what I wanted to build. And like I'm okay with not being 100% owner of a company. It doesn't like if you look at any of these Silicon Valley companies, any large corporation anyways, most of the times the CEO is under 50% anyways. So it doesn't really matter.
They're still majority. They still own the majority, but they usually aren't. Yeah.
It depends how your operating agreement's set up. I mean, ultimately, like you could be under 50% and still like have majority voting power or whatever. Like it all depends on the contract, really.
So, and it's funny because we talked about this earlier, and I even did it in your intro that you are kind of into this world of technology and streamlining and automation. I'm sure is probably a big part of what you're trying to do. So within that world, do you believe that having that mindset of automation and making sure that you're building systems that allow you to scale in spite of you is an important thing to take on these days?
That's the first thing we invested in. Like that's the first thing that we invested in. I mean, like when I opened Maryland Print House with the guys that I opened it with, the first investment we made was in shop management. We had zero sales. I mean, it also was like, okay, our two companies, Every Locker, which focuses on schools too, and Creators Label, when we're outsourcing and spending X amount of money, like it only makes sense to go and control your stuff. And our product was coming back shitty and like we weren't happy with it. So we brought it in-house. But I think like, dude, the technology, we wouldn't be where we are today without it. Like we were just looking at orders in the queue and we had X amount of orders this month and X amount of orders in December. Like whatever, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. And we were like, holy shit, it doesn't feel any different. And that is when you know you're doing the right thing. It's you triple your orders, then
and it doesn't really hurt. Right. I remember specifically when I was doing it all like with QuickBooks invoicing and shit like that, and I had no system. And I remember like almost dreading getting a new goddamn job. Maybe you never really went through it because you were so on it early on, but for me, I remember dreading the phone ringing because I knew that it was going to be another night that I didn't goddamn sleep.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you say that. So when my Crazy Tees back when my first company that ended up getting shut down because I started Creators Label in the middle of it, I invoiced with QuickBooks too, and it was horrible. But I actually built out a insane spreadsheet with calculations and stuff to basically my matrix price sheet was there, and then I downloaded SS Activeware's like entire Excel price sheet, and I built a custom pricing calculator like with real-time pricing. I would update whenever new pricing would come out.
Same here. Yeah, I didn't build it, but I had someone build something very similar.
I use Fiverr actually to have the guy do the end calculation because I can figure it out.
But it is cool. You can do those that's what's crazy with the people don't realize what is possible. Like all of those little headaches that you have to deal with, dude, you don't got to deal with them anymore. That's why I think that's another reason why, especially your generation, like the 30s, I guess they're called millennials. They understand that like certain things don't have to be difficult. Just because they used to be like payroll and shit used to be a pain in the ass, they don't have to be anymore. And that's why entrepreneurship is on like a rise, I think. You're seeing so many people do it.
I mean, there's major downside with our generation though too. You know, like I mean, the laziness, like trying to hire is very, very hard.
Is it?
And like trying to especially in a manufacturing business, like it makes things a lot more complicated. But I mean, there's upsides if the person is using their what they have to their advantage. Sure.
I mean, for sure, dude. I mean, I'm trying to give your generation some credit because mainly you guys just get slammed.
Well, I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, even though I'm in it, I still feel like it's well deserved because I mean, there's so much shit going on in the world that like, it's like, don't rely on your parents. And we have that trouble still to this day. Like, let's get out, let's start and like build something. And I mean, it's a major problem.
Cool. Yeah, I love that, bro. How let me see what okay, so we already kind of talked about some of the stuff you did wrong. Um
Yeah.
what was like when you started the print shop?
Mhm.
What was like the first thing that the real problem? I'm going to my little questionnaire list here because I want to make sure.
Sure.
I want to keep us moving forward. That you overcame. Like, what was an issue that was it was an obvious issue. It was going to require brain power, but you tackled it, you hit it, and you got over it. Anything come to
Um,
mind?
no traps on artwork.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, we started doing Photoshop steps, like photo using Photoshop, and I never knew about like traps
Uh huh.
until because like they didn't teach you that in school. I went to school for graphic design and like art and stuff in college too,
Yeah.
and I took it in high school. Like we had a special like school for like trades or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And like, yeah, dude, I never knew about traps. So we were always printing our jobs with no trap
Wow.
for like 6 months. Yeah, until
Really?
I got into a shop and learned.
Yeah, yeah. Now, did you work somewhere else too to kind of figure out how to get screen
So
printing?
yeah, it's
I
funny,
did
funny
too.
story.
I did.
Well, I actually got like the only reason I did was because our volume was so high when the company started, like the first 2 months. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but like it was ridiculous. We had to print like 3,000 shirts or 4,000 shirs, and like we
Yeah.
had a manual, and it was like multicolors, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah.
So I actually called a shop local to my house, like where I lived at home. I was like, "Hey, dude, like we've never talked or anything, but like I really need help."
Uh-huh.
And like a new owner, it's funny, a new owner had actually taken over the shop that I worked with first at the first time.
Uh-huh.
So like it was the same shop. But so he was like, "Yeah, come down, like tell me what you got." And so I partnered with them, and initially the distribution was they were sending it to us. But
Okay.
yeah, so he actually brought me down there, moved me down there, put me in an apartment, and gave us a office space.
Wow.
And I didn't realize how taken advantage I was being like taken advantage of because like it's a long story.
Okay.
But yeah, like the deal was pretty poor, but it was awesome for me at the time because I felt like I was valued for what I was doing. And like, yeah, but no, so that's when I really learned. And then he started to like utilize me in different places, and that didn't really work out. That's why this was started.
But at the end of the day, you learned it, so it was all good.
So much.
Yeah.
So valuable.
It was just an
yeah.
education. You were taken advantage of in exchange for an education.
Yeah, and I'll do that any day.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, that's cool. I like that, bro. That's big, man. You got kind of you took the good with the you took some good out of a kind of a crappy situation, really. You know, I do notice that most people that have started some kind of something, they usually did have to get creative, like what you did with that printer. There was always a point where they had to like either use their wits to get an answer or to get it done, or they weren't gonna make it. So it's cool.
Yeah, well, we were in between like 3 shops when we were figuring out how to outsource because like I'd never done that before, like subcontract or whatever. And
I hate it more than anything.
It was really the best deal. That's what drove us to open this really.
Right.
And like, yeah, I mean, it was whoever offered really the best deal. I mean, I kind of played it smart to an extent because I had no idea what I was doing, you know. I again jumped into it, but an auto is way different than a manual.
Yeah.
Like as far as capacity. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good, bro. Thank you. What is something right now in your current business? Which, well, I mean, I'm looking at the sign back there, and I'm kind of interested in Maryland. Yeah. So what are some things that you're facing right now in Maryland that you're not that you got to figure out how to get over? What's something that's holding you back right now?
Like just in the shop in general.
Yeah, and for growth or for
Um,
It's a weird question. Even as I'm asking it, I'm like, what the fuck are you asking, dude? But yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the problems is, I mean, trying to not have guys out here until 7 or 8 o'clock, you know, and like having to figure out how to streamline that. So, I mean, for me, hiring was never really like something I had to do as I started off, like the companies that I had in the past.
Well, there.
It's just so small.
Yeah.
All right, you there? Can you hear me? Yeah.
We're good.
So I can kind of catch it before I think it happens.
Okay.
So I never hired really anybody before. So I was kind of like, it's kind of been a weird position. But I mean, to be honest, like I finally like realized like what's the partners that I have in this company, like what is the value of having one of them like check in goods when he's kick ass at sales.
Right.
Like, so making sure that like, and so we made a hire yesterday and we're going to make a hire next week. Like just making sure that like you utilize the people when you like get to a point, like don't wait too long to utilize people for their strengths, because like that's the mistake that we made for the past 6 months. Like we should have done that before.
Yeah.
And just seen what happened and take that risk, because like, you know, obviously there's risk associated with it. And like, you know, having a partner out of the building, like you don't know what's going to happen. You have to train employees, like do all that kind of stuff. But when you get to that point, you kind of start to realize that like, this could be the best decision ever. We don't know because it hasn't happened yet, but he could grow the company's sales by, you know, tenfold. I don't know, you know? So like, why not at least give him that shot? Because he's already done so well in the past when we had like free time to sell. Like, let's send him on the road and bring in a secretary or whatever, you know, whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, that's good advice, dude. Just playing to people's strengths. I mean, sometimes you wear multiple hats in the beginning, but the second that you can play to their strengths, you should, right? So that's,
I mean, I actually just learned this. I mean, like, so I was consulting with a guy that owns a company that does really, really well. And, you know, that's the first thing he told me. He's like, what are you doing every day? Like, run me through a day in your life. Like, I still help on the press. Like, sometimes, like, if there's something going wrong, like, I try to go out and, like, help, you know, our press operator figure out, like, what the issue is or whatever. Like, just try and help in any way possible. And so, like, part of it is like, that's not what you should be doing if that's not what you're good at. Like, I'm good at marketing, I'm good at advertising, I'm good at running ad campaigns, I'm good at all of those things, I'm good at tech. Like, that's what I need to be doing.
Right.
Why be on the press? Like, why put yourself in a position to be at a $25 or $20 an hour job when you should be doing a $100 an hour job, you know? And like, that advice that I got just like last week is going to stick with me forever. And the second thing he taught me was like, simplify your workflow. Like, don't make it overly complicated when you get to a point where you're like freaking out. Like, we use Monday.com is like one software. There's no print software that is going to, or like shop management system that's really going to streamline your stuff and do everything that you want. It just doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
I know some people are working on one.
But I'm working on one, baby, and it's close.
Yeah.
And it's literally kind of built on that Monday ideology to a large way.
Exactly. Like, and so we use Monday.com just for like communication, because like that's the biggest struggle, I think, at least in our shop, is like there's too many things going on. And there's not enough people to remember each thing. So like,
bro, I try. Yeah, man. Like that's the biggest scale. The issue with scalability in a print shop, in my opinion, is like, if there's two people gathering data, even if it's just you as the person talking to the client, you are an intermediary that can mess something up. Yeah, so the idea is to try to remove as much of that as possible. And yeah, Monday, like, they have a pretty cool platform, man.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah,
we just found it. We actually implemented it a week and a half ago.
There's another.
Like, it's changed our business.
There's another one. It's almost like them. I think it's called Stack. They do kind of similar things, but yeah, dude.
Slack.
Yeah, Is it Slack?
Yeah. We tried between Monday.com and Trello were the two that we really tried to utilize the most, but like Trello kind of fell off. And like, it's so hard to get, like, you know, as an owner operator or whatever, like, you know, like what should be done by everyone.
Oh yeah.
But trying to implement different processes is very, very complicated. That's probably our biggest struggle, actually, is trying to get the processes implemented and used properly. So like it's hard.
Literally,
you have to really simplify.
Literally, that's like why I built the software. You know, the first version I built was just to help me do my shit at my shop, and then you start. But anytime, like, even if you just want to make sure that the printer and the designer are always looking at the same batch of information, there's like a whole thing. There's a whole thing you have to build and implement to make sure that they're actually doing that, right?
Yeah. So
integration is tough.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard stuff. And like, we use Deco, you know, as an example, Deco Network.
Oh yeah, they're good. They're pretty robust, aren't they?
Like, a lot of people, like for me, like, we didn't actually, like, that was like when I said the first thing we invested in, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's what we were using. And we still use it, but I just had a call with Inksoft and talked, and like, they're working on some cool stuff too.
Yeah, they are.
But like, I just really, like, that is still not enough. And that's what I mean. Like, shop management, you have to do so much development, because we're working on our own tech too, like in the influencer world. But like, it's so complicated, and I understand like the complexities of it to an extent.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like we're using PHP and Python for machine learning, and it's incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
And so like I know what these guys are going through.
Yeah.
Just like you, I'm sure you're having hiccups. It's hard as shit.
Bro,
I get that.
I had my original quote with my team. We had an estimation of September of last goddamn year that it would be done.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a pretty sizable team, you know, and there was a budget and everything. It's still not goddamn done. Every single process is so hard. But that even translates, like, let's not just talk all about software and systems, but it translates into your shop too. Like when you decide that you need to increase the efficiency in your screen room, there's so many things that you have to do to actually make that work. And there's usually a very sizable investment in cash and time to even just to get 10% efficiency increase. Which makes this industry very daunting, dude. That's now we're starting to detour people. So let's move past this shit.
No, it's a good thing, I think, you know, because like it's real. It's real stuff. And like try and simplify your process. Don't do what I did and like make everything so damn complex that
crap. There he went. Hey guys, hang tight. I think we lost him. Hang on. I'm going to go to my screen. I'm going to have to hang this up. And I'm gonna...
You don't know.
Ah, shit. I'm going to have to call him back, guys. Hang on. Give him a little buzzy buzz. How y'all doing? You holding up okay in the chat? Y'all doing okay? Thanks for listening. This is an interesting one. I'm enjoying this.
All right, I just got back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go, brother. Hang on, let me bring you back on here. Okay. No big deal. Hiccups are that's part of technology. Oh, shit. Did we lose you again? Oh, gosh.
Can you hear me?
There you are. There you are.
Hello?
Yep.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
No, all I was saying, can you hear me?
Yep.
Was I don't want to deter anyone from it. It starts to get very complex as you scale, and you just have to have the ability to like understand. Don't make it more complex. Simplify your processes as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because like
it
is incredibly complex if you make it, and it doesn't have to be that way. And that's how I was.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? Because, you know, I've started rolling out the beta for the software I'm developing, and I hate to keep plugging this, but the reason I bring it up is because, you know, when I designed the system, I set it up in such a way where it almost forced me to stop being so flexible in every aspect of the business. And it basically just made it go from ba-boom, 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 like in simple steps, right? But I do think a lot of people have a tendency to complicate everything and to add 20 different steps to something that should only take 2.
Yeah, exactly. And like, just don't do that.
Yeah, don't do it, baby.
It makes your employees' life hell. It makes everybody's life hell. And like, but you'll learn. I mean, that's kind of like our process too. Is like we learn, you know,
very cool,
like throughout it.
So, what is your so far? And I know that this company's just been going, but what's your favorite part of this industry so far as you're starting to dive into it?
I think the people, like, you don't get this, you know, in a lot of industries, you know, like people willing to help each other. And I think, like, instead of looking at it as like who's going to poach who, like look at it as like how can we all eat together.
Yeah.
And like if you have a good product, you're going to probably win the job. And like that's kind of how our ideology on sales is now. And like, you know, I want to help other people have a great product because like how do you, like, they might know something that I don't know. Like right now, for example, like we R&D'd our white printing, like white inks, underbases and stuff, like ridiculously yesterday and today. And I had guys from the Print Life help me. And like, it's because like printing on an auto, it's the same as printing on a manual, and people will say that, but it's really a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And like ultimately, you know, you want to get the softest, the least amount of ink deposit with Plassaw in example, but like, how do you get that to look great? And like, you just kind of get the help from people. And in our instance, the press wasn't set up exactly how it was supposed to be, and like we had to adjust a couple of things, and then now we're good. So yeah, I think like a lot of things, like just the people, man, the ability and the willingness to help each other is so big.
That's awesome, man. Dude. That's It's good that you're noticing that, because it seems to be exclusive to this industry as well.
It is. It's wild.
Why do you think business is just so tough? And why do you think this is kind of a general question I ask everybody, but why do you think some shops make it and then some shops just don't make it?
I think probably, I don't know, the ability to adapt to like new trends and like the way, like I know a lot of shops locally. Like, so for me, there's only like 4 shops in our county that have an auto, maybe 4, maybe less, maybe more. I don't know. Not many though. And it's a pretty big county. So, but I think like we're probably the only company that's even like looking into like S-mesh hydro, like roller screens, like updating our equipment. They just don't do that. And like you can have older equipment and still have a great product. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like investing in change,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I
like,
love that.
It's massive.
Do you think so? You think in your opinion, you know, everyone has an opinion, but you think the ones that just kind of stay stagnant, they are dying, right? Dude, I just watched Cobra Kai season 1 or 2, and that's what he said. He's like, he puts the kids in the concrete roller, right? And he says if you're standing still, you're getting stuck, right? And eventually you just harden and you can't move.
I think that's true. I think that's true in this industry too. I mean, like, because who knows what's going to happen with plastisol inks, and if you're not playing with like water base at all or trying to learn it, then like, who knows? You know, like I don't know. You never really know. Like, but you always have to adapt and like try new things.
I agree.
At least set time for it. Like R&D days, we try to do that on like Fridays, like to have fun and stuff. Like we print for fun.
Yeah, that's
like
kind of
cool
how I see
the
YouTube channel is my opportunity for R&D. Like even when I was doing the vloggy stuff, like I was really using it as like an opportunity to mess around with shit. So yeah, even if you have to find an excuse on how to play around with things, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
it's important.
Why not? I mean,
in your opinion, what makes a person either a good or a bad business person? I guess it's kind of the same question as the last one.
Yeah, I would probably say the same thing. I think like, I don't know. Yeah, the same thing.
Well, you know, it sounds to me like you were a born entrepreneur, because like even I asked you, like, even when your early days when you were working with family, did you do work for free? And you were like, no, fuck no. Whereas me, when I started, bro, and I have never claimed to be a good business person, but I would do work for free because I wanted to get my hands dirty. So I don't know.
I think partially it's like the ability to have an open mind, like, and leverage technology to like be better. Cause like ultimately, no matter what anybody thinks, like at the end of the day, technology is where the future is. So, you know, if you think that that's not true, you're nuts.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it's just like, if you're still like, if you have a shop that's doing X amount of sales and you're going to just use QuickBooks to bill people, there's somebody doing something better. Like you have to be willing to like look into better technologies to streamline, and it's going to make you more efficient. A, B, like it's just, you know, it's just the right thing to do. And you have to be willing and open to that change and force it on your employees to actually utilize it. I think that's like a big part of it. And I don't know. I mean, I think that like just, you know, adapting to the processes and like utilizing technology, because I know so many owners, and I think learning all of the steps of the process is another big one. Like I know a lot of shop owners that like don't even know how to print, which is fine.
Right.
But like, I feel like that creates more value for you in the shop for not only your employees, but for you too. Yeah. Like if you can go out and solve a problem, like a major issue, then like that's ultimately going to help your bottom line. And like, you know, your employee's going to be happier and not pissed off because they can't figure it out themselves, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. I love that, man. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
When you end up in a situation where you're stuck and you're not sure what you're going to do to get out of it, what is a technique or a tactic that you've learned to get around it, or to get you thinking differently, or to be a creative thinker with a problem?
Any problem.
Some of these fucking questions are like the weirdest. I don't even know how the fuck. You run into a situation and you're like, well, shit, man. How am I going to get from A to B? What am I going to do to get there? Because I don't know the answer. What is something that you do to kind of help you find the ansers?
I don't know. Google it, maybe. It depends. Like that's why. Like I tell everybody, like Google was my college.
Yeah.
Google was my college education. You know, like that's
it
what
really
I tell
is.
everyone.
And YouTube too.
Yeah, YouTube too, for sure. No, but really, like asking people, like being willing to like let your ego aside and like ask people for help. It would be a big one, and like you utilize the internet and just like learn from it and like actually take something away from it. Because or just take educated guesses, you know?
I think that's actually really good advice, dude. I mean, in my opinion, you just
what I've always done.
Be willing to ask. Ultimately, just be willing to ask. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to crank through it and figure it out yourself.
I find a lot of business owners that I know like that just aren't willing to like let their ego aside to like solve a problem, you know, like just step away and like ask somebody that is going to give you the answer faster, you know, that might have that answer or, you know, like whatever.
That's beautiful. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Perfect fucking answer. Took 20 minutes to get there, but we got there. Loved it.
Yep.
I mean, I can keep asking this shit. Hey, guys, I'm about to wrap up my questions for him, too. So if you have any questions, start submitting them in the chat. Just remember, type @ThePrintLife, followed by your question. @ThePrintLife, so that I know that it's directed at us. So what's the single most important skill a new business person should have? I feel like these are almost redundant questions, but fuck it.
I don't know, man.
Hit me with something. You got something in there. I know you do.
What should they have?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
especially a new
understand
one.
that you're not the best at everything, and that there's like people that can do it better.
There you go.
And like utilize them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Do you have any predictions or a vision for the print industry, for this industry moving forward? Where do you think it's going?
Like for like printing techniques or
yeah,
like just
from technology, from business, really whatever. Just where you kind of see it.
I don't know. A lot of people like praise digital, but like I've never seen good. Like I've seen good results at trade shows, but shops that end up like spending the money on it, I don't know. I don't see good results. But maybe that's just my area. I don't know. I think like realistically, it's the branding aspect and like online. Like to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like I think that you're gonna see like a company come out with a software that's gonna like be a custom ink, and everyone's gonna be like, you know, on that level, and just local distribution. Like it's gonna be crazy. That's what I think.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. Fuck, dude. I hope that's my software. That's the plan for it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I hope it is too.
Yeah, me too, dude.
That's congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, hit me up afterwards. We could talk about it. I'm still trying to keep some of the stuff low key, but I'll talk to you about it after. All right, guys. So if there's any questions for him, I know that you guys have been asking through the thing, but it's so hard to filter through these. Let me go to the top. Yeah, a lot of people are just kind of riffing off what you said, so that's good, but I'm not seeing. Thank you so much for the videos. You all have helped. They're loving the show so far, so that's good. The chat seems to be like behind or some shit like that. How do you? Nope, can't answer that one because I'm competitive as shit. Yeah, a lot of people are just really enjoying it, listening and learning. Families moving. Come on, babies. You guys got some questions in here? Okay, here we go. This is from Lynn. They're at the bottom here. Hey, bro. Your name, dude. Lionel Erg.
Yeah.
Lionel Erg. What equipment is better for a starter? This is the stuff I was trying to dig. I'm just going to ask you, and you can reiterate. What equipment is better for a starter just starting out? How do you get clients in the early stage, and how do you build a following for your company? Definitely go back to the beginning of this podcast, but let's just give them the quick version.
Like just utilize social media like to the best of your ability, because ultimately like that's going to be the easiest way to leverage a lot of people at once. You know, like just utilize Twitter, utilize Instagram, utilize LinkedIn, send donuts to the biggest company in your town, like every day.
All right. That's good.
Like, or something, find out what the owner likes, like from LinkedIn or Facebook or something, and like send them a bunch of shit. Like, I don't know.
That's
just
clever.
Like grassroots it. Like, don't think too like hard, you know, like just do what would you want? Like, how would you sell yourself?
Right. That's good advice, man. Yeah. It's good advice. I think also a lot of the older traditional tactics are actually more effective nowadays because everybody just tries to do like the digital stuff. And if you go back to sending physical goods, it might actually have more effect than it did even 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
I mean, we've had incredible results with Google Adwords. I don't know if you've done anything with it. But,
I use it it's one of my main things for acquiring work. Yeah. Google AdWords to me is it. In my personal opinion, it's it. Everything else is sort of bullshit. But that's just my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And what about equipment-wise? Do you have a particular brand that you tend to favor? Faber? Is it Faber?
Yeah, of course. We use M&R. You know, specifically like very all M&R stuff.
So if you were going to tell, what about that cruiser? Do you think that the cruiser is a great place to start for someone just getting started?
Yeah, for the price point, absolutely. I think that it's, you know, for the price and what you're getting. I mean, we printed a shit ton of shirts on it last year. I mean, we didn't get the auto until December.
You have a cruiser?
Yeah.
You have a cruiser. Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
probably the best press I've ever used. I mean, I'm not going to dog on anybody or any brands in here.
Yeah,
but,
well, I think the Anatol Thunder's the best press ever. So you can love it.
Well, I mean, I just had a really rough time without. I never had Anatol products, but I'm sure they're great.
Yeah.
But I just had issues with like not having side clamps. I think that makes a crazy difference.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know why, but I just feel like it does.
What I always tell everybody is because you don't have to deal with the off contact adjustment as often. When you have the side clamps, you kind of set the off contact or your tilt, and it's more or less set. You still have to make minor adjustments, but when we had the rear clamp Antec Legend, dude, we were constantly like having to adjust the tilt and all this other shit. So I think it's just more consistent. And then also you have the option to bring in roller frames later with side clamps.
Yeah, true. I mean, the biggest issue that we had with the Cruiser was off contact.
Oh, you were having problems with it?
Yeah, we had we're trying to still figure it out. But it could be we set it up ourselves because cost when
Yeah,
we started. So.
we had some problems with the Sidewinder too. We were having some issues with leveling the pallets and shit like that. We were having some problems. But yeah, dude, I think M&R is a good place to start. I think any of the big, I don't know how many, there must be 6 or 7 of them. They all have a good entry-level press, dude. Just talk to the reps. And just whichever one's willing to give you a really good deal and that works with you and makes you feel comfortable, go that route. But what do you think about the whole thing of buying those Chinese things? You know, I've done videos on them. I've done all this stuff on them, and I'm always trying to find those good little niche Chinese products. But those tabletop presses and shit. What do you think about all that stuff? Skip it. Go with it.
I don't know. I mean, you got to do what you got to do financially. Ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever's going to get you to printing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're gonna have a lot harder time than a U.S.-based press or whatever,
sure.
like a well-known brand for sure.
Gotcha.
Definitely make sure you have micros. I mean, you might as well, in my opinion, you might as well go with a wooden press than
that's
China, unless you find a really good one. If you find a good one, then great.
Yeah, that's kind of my advice is look, if you're not gonna spring for the micros, don't even worry about getting a multicolor press. Just get a single station, single color, because if you have to register 2 colors without micros, people do it. There are ninjas out there that pull it off, but yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, I would not want to do that. But we did it, at the beginning. So do what you got to do,
This is stuff that technical. Oh, by the way, guys, we have an emulsion guru coming on sometime this month. I can't remember what date it is. One of these Wednesdays. But so you don't have to dive into this if you don't want to. But any suggestions on what to look for when emulsion settles unevenly? Now we're on technical stuff.
Huh.
Cue that, Dade, come in too. We're gonna have the guy from Murakami here, and I'm going to grill this son of a bitch on stuff. But cue that up. Make sure you're here, Dade, when you're, because we're gonna ask him again. Anyway, go ahead.
I've never. I don't know what do you mean?
So he must be drying it. His fucking drying rack is weird or something. Maybe I'll dive in there. Just look in to make sure that your actual drying rack is level. And make sure that you're using good coating techniques, dude. I don't know why it would be settling uneven, but my first thought is if it's settling uneven, it means you're drying it at a tilt and it's allowing the emulsion to kind of build up on one side. That's the best thing I can.
I don't know. I'd have to see a picture because I'm having a hard time thinking. Yeah. But I would try laying it flat first, face down. Get a screen rack.
Yeah, get a screen rack. Make sure it's level.
Or build one.
And you might be just printing it too thick, dude. I even heard I've always coated with one hand on the floor, but we recently got a wall-mounted coater where you can use 2 hands. But I even had an emulsion guru say that you should be coating with 1 hand. So, I don't know why, but look into it. Let's move on. Any suggestion? Oh, I already did that one. Do you have any advice for ultra new people getting into the printing industry? Just for the minimum gear that they should have?
It's a good question. It's so cost-based,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends what your budget is, but definitely if you have the budget, get something that's well-known, that's going to work well for you.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I would buy probably is a exposure unit. like so a good exposure unit, because that's something that we actually just upgraded this week or last week I don't even know when it was, this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were still using a tabletop like ball based exposure unit, which is fine too. But we had to use we had to lay on the screen up until like this week. But yeah, no, I mean,
I agree. I completely agree.
Exposure unit.
I agree, man. I think for me, even more so than the press or the dryer, when you're just starting out, if you put all your money into the film, to the printer, to make sure you have a good film, and you sure. I think you start with the film, then you go exposure, and then everything else, in my opinion. But the film output will make or break if you're making good screens or not. Like everything else is kind of bullshit. So
yeah, and definitely also another thing is like know how to do your artwork.
There you go. Get your art skills up, man. Understand Adobe Illustrator, understand Photoshop. Yeah, it's good. Great advice. Sure. My screen printing company was doing 850 in sales 5 years ago. However, the number is slowly going down due to competitors and online options. Let me see your website. What do you recommend I change? So you hit him up, guys. You know, if you have any questions that don't get answered in this, hit him up in the comments of this video. I'm sure you'll tune in and check him out, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, here's what I would say, though, for sure, because I know someone that was in a similar situation. You know, the one thing to look at is do you know who your competitors are? And if you do, what's their online presence like? Like, you know, how many reviews do you have on Facebook? How many likes do you have on Facebook? How many do they have? So one of the cool features of Facebook is that you can actually have insights onto local competitors right on your dashboard. So like we have all of ours to see kind of what they're doing. It shows like what their percentage of growth is. It shows like everything. And so like make sure you're utilizing the data that you have at your
fingertips,
right in front of you.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's right there. So,
and did we lose him for good? Hang in there, guys. Hang in there. He's coming back. Damn, this one's been going long. Wait, what time it goes? We've been going like an hour and a fucking half already. Let me call him back. I'm gonna ring-a-ding-ding him. It's better to pay someone to make your shirts or to buy them from a dealer. There he is. Hello? Poop. Poop. Whoop. Whoop. Did he poop? Scoop. Whoop. Hey, guys. Yeah, we lost him. We lost him. I just want to make sure we can wrap it up because we've been going forever, but I just want to give him an opportunity to plug all his stuff. Hang in there, guys. Here he comes. Ah, shit. Okay, well, it does look like we lost him, but I do want to just reiterate on what he was saying with the data. It's interesting. I don't use the Facebook dashboard at all, but I do know that here we go. Hello?
I don't know why.
There he is.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
God. I don't know why it's doing this.
It's cool. It's cool. Bro, I've had so many crappy shows because of technical difficulties. Let's start wrapping this up, though. I don't want to just fucking wear you out here. Let's finish up on that, though. You were talking about data, and then we're going to let you do your plugs and get on out of here.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just like go through and like utilize it, you know, because like definitely compare your site to your competitors. Like, I mean, the only reason you would be losing clients is because like somebody had to have come in somewhere and is taking market share. You know, that's how I would look at it. Mm-hmm. And if it is like custom ink or something, you probably don't want those clients anyways, you know, because they're going to pay 15 to 20% more for it. So like, why are they doing that? You know?
Right.
So definitely like maybe look at your staff too. Is it something that they're doing wrong and like pissing people off?
Okay.
You know, just something to food for thought.
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. Now, I don't utilize I was just saying, I don't utilize the Facebook dashboard nearly as much as I should. I use a lot of Google's analytics, you know, based on my website, but I hear Facebook has some powerful stuff. So I'm going to take your advice on that as well. You guys have a lot of questions here. Don't hesitate to re-ask them in the comments of this video. I'm sure you got no problem chiming in and answering them there. Now, this is the opportunity just for you to plug your shit, man. Plug your companies, plug all that stuff, make sure that everyone knows who you are. And, of course, I will link all of that stuff in the description of this video as well.
Yeah, so our main company, Maryland Print House, you can follow us on Instagram at Maryland Print House. Creators Label, best to follow on Twitter at Creators Label. And our website is marylandprinthouse.com if you want to take a look at kind of what we're doing to, check your SEO, stuff like that.
Okay.
Maybe a good reference.
Perfect. Anything else you want to share?
Nah, man, I think I'm good.
All right.
Good luck to everyone out there. Keep killing it. Keep printing shirts.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy guy. It's just nice to get fresh eyes and fresh. The thing is like a lot of us guys that are over 30, man, we're almost jaded to everything. So it's just nice to get your side of it when you're fresh and you're into it and you're still excited. So thank you, dude. I really loved it, man.
For sure. Keep going, man. There's so much exciting stuff happening.
Thanks, brother. And I'll talk to you about the software. Just hang in there. I'll let you know what's going on with it. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. That shit was awesome. Again, if you have any questions for him, leave them in the comments of the video, and we'll make sure that Hunter dives in and answers them later on. What do we have next week? I can't remember who's on the schedule next week, but it's a pretty good one, man. We got some really good shit coming up. I'll just put it that way. So make sure that you guys are here every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Also, Mads Olson, I've been getting fucking hit up left and right for like what I would consider the high density guru. We're gonna he's gonna come on, but because of the time difference, because he's in basically another galaxy, we're gonna have to pre-record it, so it won't be live. But I am gonna do a podcast with him. We're gonna siphon all that information from him because I know all of you guys want it. I want it too, so we're gonna get him on there. Thank you so much for hanging with us, Print Fam. We'll see you next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. When this video ends, like it. Fucking subscribe if you're not subscribed, and leave a comment. I don't care if you just say Print Fam was here. Leave a comment on this video. Peace out. Ka-ta.